What's up, my dudes? Check out this map right here, dog. So, if any of you guys remember the whole tropical freeride map in MX vs. ATV All Out, look at how different this new time of day weather effect is changing this track right here. Oh my god, dog. Like, this is so different. You guys know that whenever the way this track looked when the game first came out, right? Kind of had that like middle of the day kind of sunshiny effect, like you would expect to be on a tropical map, right? But here it's like you've got this whole sort of like after a tropical storm or a tropical rain vibe going on here, and it's got that whole sort of feeling to it. Wow, dude, this is insane right here. So either way, point to this video, right? Wanted to get on here and talk about little bit of Rainbow Studios comment on my last video on my MX versus ATV, that last video that I'd actually made on the newer weather effects and the graphical update and all that. I'm famous, boys, you know what it is. Just kidding, right? But I think it, like, listen, guys, I go in here and talk about, oh, it's so crazy that MX vs. ATV followed me on Instagram and, you know, they comment on my videos, stuff like that. Like, let me just soak it in, dog. You know, I get they probably follow quite a few other people, right? I get it. I'm sure that all those other big YouTubers are getting all the same kind of stuff, and the bigger YouTubers are even getting more because they're getting the free stuff, right? I don't even get, like, the free updates and all that kind of crap yet, so... or I said the free update. I meant the free, like, DLC, right, and all that. Like, basically review copies of shit. I don't get any of that yet. So, but listen, guys, like, I just think it's cool. I wanted to come in here and just explain this about the MX vs. ATV. You know, I keep talking about how they got their head on straight now, and they're really starting to do things like I expect from an MX versus ATV company. You know what I mean? And the fact that they will go in there and follow somebody like me that's only at, 12,000 subs on YouTube, and they will go in there and comment on a video that only gets 1,000 views on it. That just goes to show you how much they do care. You know what I mean? Whereas, like, some of these other companies out here, Milestone, seem to be a little bit more distant from the community and what's actually going on in the fan base and what people really want. And there's a lot of gaming communities that are running into this issue and have been running into this issue for the past few years. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of them out there, man. You can just go on and on. Blizzard, Activision, you can just, Call of Duty games, stuff like that. There's a lot of gaming, big corporations and companies that just, they're like so far off from what the community and what the gamers are actually wanting and what's actually happening in their game, right? It's like they're just seeing spreadsheets and trying to make more money, and they don't see anything else. This lighthouse right here is pretty sick, kind of seeing that through the fog. I didn't know if that was like the moon or if that was something else. That was pretty sick, though. Let me see if I can turn around and kind of show it to you. Look at this. See it like right up there, top right corner? That is pretty cool, dude. Kind of going through the fog, right? This map is like completely different feeling than the base version of it. But yeah, so either way, they left a comment. Let me cut through all the bullshit here. They left a comment on that last video, and there's actually some pretty interesting stuff that they said on that. So this is coming directly from the Rainbow Studios YouTube channel. So yeah, I mean, that's where I'm actually getting this from. So either way, let me go ahead and read this off. So they say, "Hey Spencer, not only did we make increases to performance/graphics in the different time of day scenarios, but we actually went through and made a ton of changes to the OG national tracks and added a bunch of new trails to the Moto Ranch. We've been listening to the community and taking tons of feedback and adding what is possible to add in this game, but really building the engine so that we're ready to blow it up with our next game. But first, we've got the DLC everybody's been dreaming of. Can't wait to get that in your hands later this summer." So, there's actually quite a bit here. I don't even know how much of this has really been like announced or set. I haven't really read anything quite like that anywhere else. So I don't know how exclusive some of that is in that comment or what. I don't know exactly, but nonetheless, pretty interesting either way you want to slice it, So basically, yeah, so they went in there and with this update, they've got a lot of new changes to the OG default motocross tracks. So I'm going to have to go in there and check that out in a different video or something, because there's a lot of them on there. I'd have to go look at that. But what I'm assuming is they probably just added more of those pre-made like ruts and roughness like you see pre-made on the Goat Farm National track, something that was totally missing from all those OG original default tracks. They were like perfectly super smooth. So that's what I'm guessing that they did to that, with the OG tracks there. And then they added some trails to the Moto Ranch, so that's cool. I didn't even realize that. I have to take a look at that at some point, but I literally never even actually realized there was. I know there's a lot of new stuff on that original like default actual compound that you're in. I mean, there's like a whole nother section on there now, so it looks completely different than it used to look. Not only from the different weather effects and time of day effects, but also there's literally different tracks on that original compound there, so like totally different in an actual physical sense as well. But where it gets interesting, right, and this is where I think it's a little more exclusive. I don't know where else they've actually posted this exact. They might have posted it somewhere else, but I just know I've not seen it yet. But basically them saying they're adding what is possible to add in this game, but really building the engine so that we're ready to blow it up with our next game. So this is where it's like, oh, fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like, dogs, this is what I've been talking about this whole time, right? I've been saying things like, oh, dude, like, man, I'm just really ready for that next MX vs. ATV game. I mean, all these new updates and DLC is all cool and all out, but I just feel like the next game has all the potential to be that like next reflex level game and that kind of feeling and that kind of thing, right? And so this is just sort of a confirmation on they know what the hell's going on and that's what they're working towards, right? So, they're still supporting All Out and doing all that, but really what they're doing here is trying to get everything ready so that with the next game they can put all of what they've learned with updating All Out and trying to add all this new terrain deformation, all these new physics, chassis update, tuning, all this jazz, right? They're doing all that really so that they can have more experience and a little bit more understanding for the next MX vs. ATV game, and then just literally go all the way in with the physics on that, right? And I think you're going to get more of a, like, I just have that impression that you're going to get more of that realism reflex, not as bouncy, not as floaty, not as, nitro mobile style, do a quadruple backflip, 360 no-scope backflip. Like, I can't even say it. Stuttering, dog. Just drank me some coffee, boys. Apologize. I'm a little hyped up. And then this information here is hopping my ass up too, so, it's kind of a double doozy here. Oh, can I make it? Oh, close, but no sig. So either way, yeah, that's crazy. I mean, it's just basically confirming that that's what they're doing, right? We're going to get that next MX vs. ATV game, and it's going to be basically all the stuff they've learned, because you can only do so much in one game with updates, right? And they understand that, and that's what I've been talking about, right? Like with All Out, you can only do so much, right? It's like you can sit there and add new terrain deformation, do this, do that, but they're really doing it in a way to where they're sort of, I feel like they're kind of testing it for the next game. They're really getting a lot of the understanding through that, and then with the next game, you could have that totally different bike filling and more advanced physics system and all that, more of a speed filling like Reflex had, all the all the intricacies that Reflex had that really made you want to come back and play it over and over and over. That's really, I feel like they're starting to understand that's what they need to be doing, and that's what they meant right there in that little part of that comment, basically saying, we're taking tons of feedback and adding what is possible into this game, but really building the engine so that we're ready to blow it up in our next game. So they're ready to blow it up. I mean, they literally say that in the comment, like, so. Yeah, I mean, take it for what it is, but I mean, damn, I'm taking that like, yes, in every way. Like, you could really have that motocross game you're wanting it filling-wise in the next MX vs. ATV game. So we'll just have to wait and see on that one. But, and then also the sort of, I don't know if this has been announced anywhere else. I'm sure it probably has. I'm not sure, but And then, but first, we've got the DLC everybody's been dreaming of. Can't wait to get that in your hands later this summer. So, DLC everybody's been dreaming of. I don't know what the hell they mean by that. I mean, I got the slight little inclination, maybe track editor, but I could be giving them way too much credit, be over dreaming. Like, it may not be that. I mean, that would be like far stretch. That would be like best case scenario, right? Like track editor DLC. I don't know. Kind of doubting it, That's definitely a shot in the dark. It's definitely hopeful, but even if it's not that, I know some people were kind of talking about maybe they were going to do actual AMA National Replica DLC, which they kind of did a little bit, but not full blown. Maybe that's something, or maybe maybe they might be doing something like some sort of full blown enduro cross hair scrambly series. Maybe trail series, or I kind of thought that speculated they would have that in one of their previous updates, but that wasn't really the case. Or maybe it's like some sort of DLC with like 50cc bikes and something like that. I have no idea. Or it's something, I don't know. It could be anything. But the DLC everybody's been dreaming of. I don't know. They definitely painted out to be like something big. So I have no idea. But I couldn't imagine them really putting too much effort into this game at this point. That's what I'm getting at, is like, instead of trying to go in there and do all that for this game, I mean, I think you'd be better off. I mean, it's cool and all, but I think you'd be better off by putting some more of those resources into the next game and really trying to make that pop. And it could be something like Reflex, old OG Reflex track replicas in this game. I have no idea. It could be anything like that. 50cc, some other kind of bike, or I don't know. Could be any of that. So we'll just have to wait and see on that one. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of the first thought that hit my head was track editor. But at this point, it's like, I don't know how much resources it would take to really get a track editor in here. Obviously, if it's on a console, it's going to take a lot more to try to get that to work versus just kind of throwing in a little PC track editor in. So I have no idea. And I couldn't really see a track editor being like DLC per se. So I mean, I could definitely see how that would not be it at all. So don't take like, Switcher thing is going to be a track editor. Not really. I'm kind of just dreaming that it would be, but obviously it's probably not, right? Like, I get it, but I mean, it's probably going to be like a newer bike or a, like I'm saying, hair scramble series, something like that, or fucking airplanes and monster trucks. That's a possibility too. Like the old school MX vs. ATV days. But yeah, being able to do like triple backflips, quadruple backflips, and all this crazy shit, and being able to whip it like super unrealistic in this game. At least they're free. I can always go back to that. At least they're free. So I try not to complain about the whips in this game, because at least they're free. There was a time where you couldn't even turn in the air in these games. So I can't complain too much, right? But on that specific aspect, but the whips can definitely use some TLC to get them more of like a realistic swinging the bike out to the side, and realistic, more of like a smoother sort of whip system, more like you had in Reflex. Maybe not quite as much rotation potential, but I don't know how to explain the difference of like Reflex whips and this game's whips, but these are more free, but I don't necessarily think they're better. I still think Reflex's whip system looks more natural, looks more fluent, looks more real in that game, in my opinion. But if they could integrate a little bit more of the turn-up style like this game has into more of like a Reflex whip system, that'd be cool too. But yeah, so either way, guys, yeah, that's where we're at. That was basically their comment on that video, so, take it with a grain of salt. No telling what's what about what, but I at least thought it was worthy of coming in here making a video on. Some of that stuff was pretty cool that I had no idea about. Like, I had no idea that they were really getting prepared for the next game and really kind of like testing the physics so they can blow it up in the next game. I didn't actually know. I was hopeful for that, and like it's what you would kind of assume, but I wasn't 100% sure on that. So it's cool to know that they at least have their eyes set forward to a certain extent, because that's really what we're all looking for. I mean, all this DLC to this game and everything they're putting into this game is just kind of, it's kind of like placeholder. It's kind of like just holding us over until that next MX versus ATV game. That's kind of the way I look at it in my sort of thought process on it. But yeah, either way, there's no telling. And then the whole, obviously they're still going to put more DLC in this game. That's kind of crazy. I thought this would have been about it, this recent update, but no, they're continuing to put more into it. So it's crazy. Which this update was completely free. This most recent one, huge update, totally free to this game. Come on, guys. MX vs. ATV is getting it going. Like, you guys need to get in here and support this game, in my opinion, at this point. Because, see, now it's like the more we support this game, the more we buy this game, the better the chance we have to get that next, like, Reflex 2 level game and that kind of vibe. Literally, like that's probably going to be somewhat of the next MX vs. ATV game. So if you're wanting that, you need to get in there and support this game and buy this game. Because this game doesn't have the official licensing and all that shit and getting announced literally on the Supercross on TV advertisements and stuff. This MX vs. ATV All Out's not getting nowhere near the kind of exposure that the official Monster Indy Supercross game is getting. So this game is not getting nowhere near the amount of people purchasing and money into it. Like, even though I think it's an awesome game and all the improvements they made and stuff, I mean, and if you haven't played this game since the beginning of it, there's a lot of changes, guys. It's a completely different game than it was then. So if you kind of bought it at the beginning, then you're kind of like, I don't really know so much about that, or you didn't really like those original national tracks. Everything's been changed, guys. Literally everything. Even if you don't even buy any DLC to it, you still have the OG national tracks that are changed, and the new terrain deformation, and the new tuning, and the new whole 9 yards of all that. The new graphical updates, 4K, drone cam, all of that crap is completely free. That's not even like paid DLC. So, you got that on your side too. But yeah, I mean, I think certain elements of like, how in Reflex, like, you can do basically one backflip in the air, and then if you're really fucking good and you get lucky, you can do a double backflip like Travis Pastrana on Reflex. But like with this game, you can barely jump over the smallest jump ever, and everybody and their grandmother can do a triple backflip over it. Like, it's just so easy to do. That was just a double over that. But I mean, you could do a double over like the smallest little jump known to mankind in this game. And so there's like, it doesn't have the same, it's kind of more arcadey than Reflex. It's more Nitro mobile, old school, like, feeling than what Reflex had. I mean, I still to this day think Reflex is the most modernized, most realistic, most skill-gapped, fun arcade motocross game that they have out there right now. I still feel like it is. Everything else has just been more of an outdated, and this is going with Milestone games and MX vs. ATV games. Everything since Reflex hasn't been on that level of Reflex. Like, I just don't feel like anything has pushed past the feeling of the bike of Reflex on the Xbox 360. Like, nothing has really advanced further past that. You know what I mean? Nothing feels more modern than that to me. Even at this point, obviously the graphics have improved, especially on the Milestone games and stuff like that. In the cornering physics of Milestone, some of the Milestone games can be okay at times, like not terrible, and they're kind of different than Reflex in a certain way, but there's a lot of other issues with some of the Milestone games. But overall, I feel like Reflex is the most modern feeling, the most real I don't know, most advanced feeling arcade motocross game to date, still to this day. Not graphically, obviously, but the feeling of the bike, track designs, terrain deformation, that whole 9 yards. Oh, 100%, dog. The most advanced arcade motocross game to this day. So, and we're like, 10 years down the line of Reflex, and that still feels like the most advanced modern arcade motocross game. Whew! We got to get it going here, boys. These motocross game companies got to get it going. They're trying. MX vs. ATV's trying. This is step in the right direction. That's what I always talk about with all out. Basically, it's the step in the right direction, but we need to take another step. It's kind of like the two-step forward. You know what I'm getting at? Like, you gotta love this shit, dog. Takes me back to those old school days, like an Unleashed, Untamed, and shit. We could do stuff like that. But yeah, see, this feels more like almost like a Unleashed, Untamed, Remastered or something to me versus like a Reflex or the next game after Reflex. You get what I'm saying? This is almost kind of more old school type feeling to me in a way. So it'd be cool if they go for more of the Reflex feel and then advance that. Oh god, dude, that has so much. You think about how amazing it'd be to just have a Reflex 2, but imagine like the original Reflex feeling, but just advanced upon. Like give it just even more movement, even more. And then you could always like kind of tone it back if you're like new to motocross games or whatever. You kind of have like that little slider where it's like quick turn, slow turn, that whole kind of vibe going on. It's really cool looking off in the distance of the water with that fog like that. God, dude, that is awesome. Literally some tropical rainforest action. But either way, oh, dude. What if the DLC that they're talking about later this summer is some sort of... This is something that kind of just randomly hit my mind. I don't know. I know it's going to sound crazy. But what if they say what you dreamed, everybody's dreamed of... I don't know what that means. Of course, they're just going to say stuff like that. But what if it's like a totally fantasy track DLC? So you've got like a, moon track with low gravity, and you've got some sort of crazy other fantasy design track or something. You got all these that's like a bundle of like 5 or 6 fantasy tracks, like completely fantasy, like you just don't expect them to be in a motocross game at all. That would be crazy. That would be cool. Like some space tracks or something like that in this game would definitely be interesting. So I don't know if that's it at all, but really getting wild with the kind of biomes and stuff like that in some sort of newer DLC. I have no idea, but either way, I would suspect, if I could guess, I would think more of like some sort of trail enduro DLC, like Hare Scramble, or like a 50cc bike DLC, or like, trucks, monster trucks, and airplane DLC. If I could guess, that's one of those, more than it is a track editor and more than it is like fantasy track DLC or whatever. That's what I would think in my own head. So that's kind of where I'm at on it. But either way, dudes, appreciate you guys watching all the videos. Later.